My wife cheated. She tried to break it off with her AP. He started stalking her and broke into our house, but I still divorced her. This happened to me just 5 years ago. At the time, I was 47, and my wife, now ex-wife, was 45. We got married when I was 24 years old, and I met her at a buddy's wedding in Miami Beach, where she was one of the bridesmaids. She was already working as a commercial property manager, managing strip malls and office buildings, earning a decent income, and driving a white Audi that I thought was way too flashy. But that was her, always a fan of the finer things. I was 2 years out of engineering school, working for a defense contractor in Boca Raton, designing navigation systems for military drones, and grinding 70-hour weeks on classified projects I couldn't even talk about. I barely had time to date, but something about her just pulled me in. We dated for 5 years before getting married, and honestly, those were some of the best years. We both had our careers already going, which was nice. No struggling through school together or any of that stress. When she decided she wanted to get her real estate license and move into commercial leasing, bigger properties, bigger commissions, I backed her play completely, paid for all the licensing courses, continuing education credits, even that expensive commercial real estate certification program. After 6 years with the defense contractor, I had enough security clearance work and government red tape, took my savings, and started my own industrial automation consulting firm. And that's when I bought us a house, 4 bedrooms, pool, the whole suburban dream. Same house where everything eventually went to hell. I never had a reason to doubt my wife. She seemed completely devoted to our marriage. Once she started managing bigger commercial properties, she had this crazy territory that covered from West Palm Beach down to Homestead, dealing with tenant emergencies, contractor meetings. She'd leave at 6 a.m. some days for property inspections and wouldn't get home until 8 p.m. after dealing with maintenance crises. This routine lasted about 2 years. Then she got promoted to managing just high-end office buildings closer to home. We did not have children. We kept saying we'd start trying after she reached her career goals, which she did, but somehow the conversation just never happened again. Our life had this rhythm to it. I'd handle breakfast since I worked from home some days. She'd pick up takeout on her way home after dealing with tenant complaints all day, or we'd cook together on weekends. Everything seemed solid for years. We took trips to the Keys, had our Friday night spots, and whenever we argued about something stupid, we had a rule about talking it out before going to sleep. Every now and then, she'd have these property management conferences or networking events with other building owners. I never thought twice about it. Hell, I had my poker nights and golf outings with clients. Looking back, there were probably signs I missed or chose to ignore. She started caring more about her appearance around the time we got married and began taking new gym classes and getting expensive skin treatments. She always said it was about being taken seriously in a male-dominated industry. So, one Friday night, she texts me saying there's an emergency meeting about a major HVAC failure at one of her biggest properties in Fort Lauderdale, a bunch of angry tenants, and she'd be home by 10 p.m. I told her to drive safe. She didn't walk through the door until 3:32 a.m. I asked her what the hell happened. We had this massive blowout. Voices were raised. I grabbed her phone to check it. She snatched it back and accidentally scratched my arm pretty deep. She threatened to call the police if I didn't calm down. I saw how this could go sideways real quick. Told her I was going to stay at a hotel for the night, grabbed my stuff, and left. Stayed at a Marriott for 3 nights, trying to cool off. My buddies kept telling me I was overreacting, that she probably just got caught up dealing with contractors and trying to make sure everything was fixed. When I came back, it seemed like she had a new attitude. The night before, she was a total bitch. I figured maybe we both overreacted. We sat down and discussed it. She swore she had just lost track of time dealing with the emergency and fixing the issue. After grabbing drinks with the other property managers who had shown up to help, she said her phone had died, so she couldn't text. I let it go. By this point, we'd been married 11 years and figured one bad night wasn't worth throwing it all away. But then, things started getting strange. She would attend more emergency tenant meetings, coming home wearing different clothes than she had left in, and always had some explanation about getting dirt or paint on her outfit from inspecting so many properties. Our relationship was dying slowly. No more spontaneous weekend trips, sex maybe once a month if I was lucky. Always some excuse about being tired or stressed. She'd be on her phone constantly, tilting it away from me, taking calls in the garage. I started keeping track in my head. She had emergencies every Wednesday and Friday night for 2 months straight. What kind of properties have that many emergencies? Right? Then came the day that changed everything. I'm working from my home office one afternoon when I hear this frantic knocking at the door. There was this guy with an envelope in his hand, and he said to me, "This is for you, sir." I open the folder, and there is a note that says, "My wife is cheating on me with this woman's fiance," and she leaves her number. I call the number right away, and the woman asks, "Did you get my folder?" I say, "Yes," and she says again, "Your wife is fucking my fiance." Just like that, no sugarcoating. She tells me her fiance owns a construction company that does maintenance work for commercial properties. He's been getting all these contracts from my wife's buildings, apparently, for 8 months. This woman tells me she became suspicious when her fiance started receiving all these emergency repair calls that always seemed to happen at night when normal maintenance guys would typically handle them. She hired a private investigator and had the whole thing documented. She asked for my email. I give it to her. Then she starts emailing me links to all the pictures of them at hotels, restaurants, even making out in his car in our neighborhood. Our fucking neighborhood. There were receipts from Victoria's Secret, weekend trips to Naples that he claimed were contractor conventions, and even a photo of them kissing in the parking lot of one of her properties. The PI had followed them for 3 weeks and documented everything, dates, times, locations, and even had some audio recordings of phone calls. I asked her why she didn't confront him directly. She said she wanted both of us to know first. She said they deserved to be humiliated and have their world blown up. I couldn't argue with that. She told me she would be in touch and hung up, saying we should coordinate our next moves. I'm sitting there staring at these photos when my wife pulls into the driveway. She's on the phone laughing about something. The way she was laughing, so carefree, while my world was falling apart, that image is burned into my brain. As soon as she walks in, she can tell something's wrong. I don't say a word, just shove the folder into her face. She has this confused look on her face. When she opens it, here we go with the whining. She starts with the tears, the apologies, saying it meant nothing, it was a mistake, all that classic bullshit. Here's where it gets interesting, though. She tells me she already tried to break it off with him 2 weeks ago, says he wouldn't accept it, kept showing up at her properties, sending flowers to her office, calling nonstop. She pulls out her phone, shows me like 200 missed calls from this guy, and text messages that are getting progressively more unhinged. We're meant to be together. You can't just throw this away. I'll tell your husband everything if you don't meet me. You're making a huge mistake. I know where you live. I can't live without you. Real psycho stuff. Some of the messages were from that morning, threatening to show up at our house if she didn't respond. I told her I didn't give a damn about her stalker problem. She made her bed. Now she gets to lie in it. Left the house and went straight to a divorce attorney the next morning for a same-day consultation. Lawyer tells me the same thing. Florida's no fault. Doesn't matter if she cheated with the entire Miami Dolphins roster. Assets get split 50-50. I filed that afternoon. My wife starts blowing up my phone, sends me screenshots of more threatening messages from him, saying he's sitting outside her office, following her to lunch, and showing up at properties where she's doing inspections. I didn't respond to a single message. Now here's where it gets absolutely insane. 3 days later, I'm at the house packing some stuff while she's at work, and I hear the back door sliding open. This dude, her affair partner, is in my house, in my damn house. He's about 6 feet tall, a construction worker's build, probably in his mid-40s, wearing jeans and a company polo with his construction logo on it. He starts going off about how I don't deserve her, how she loves him, not me, how I'm standing in the way of their happiness. Says he's invested too much time and money in this relationship to let it go. The dude's clearly lost it, his eyes all wild. He's probably been drinking. I can smell bourbon on him from 10 feet away. He's rambling about how they were planning a future together, how she promised to leave me, how I'm ruining everything. I grab a golf club from my bag by the door, tell him he's got 5 seconds to leave before I call the cops, and bash his skull in, not necessarily in that order. He starts moving toward me. I swing the club and put a hole in the drywall right next to his head, which snapped him out of whatever fantasy he was living in. He runs out the back, and I call the cops immediately. They show up, take my statement. I show them the hole in the wall, give them his name, and everything. 2 officers stayed at the house while another unit went to find him. My wife comes home while the cops are still there, sees the police cars, and freaks out. I tell her what her boyfriend did. She starts crying again, saying she's been trying to get away from him. She shows the cops a notebook where she'd been documenting everything, including dates and times he showed up at places, copies of texts, and even photos she'd taken of his truck outside her office. The cops take her statement too, tell her to file for a restraining order, which she does. They found him at a bar 3 miles away, arrested him for breaking and entering and criminal trespassing. But here's the thing, and this is what really pisses me off. Even after all that drama, she still thinks we can work it out. She's staying at her sister's place for safety, but keeps texting me about marriage counseling, how we can get through this together, how the affair meant nothing. And now she sees what a mistake it was. Are you kidding me? She cheats for 8 months, brings a psycho into our lives, who breaks into our home, and thinks I'm going to just forget about it? She even had the nerve to say that going through this trauma together could make us stronger. I told her the only thing we'd be doing together is splitting assets. The restraining order gets approved, but this dude violates it within a week, shows up at her sister's apartment complex, and gets arrested in the parking lot. My wife calls me crying at 1 a.m., wanting me to comfort her, saying she's scared. I told her to call her lawyer, not me. She then tries to guilt trip me, saying I'm abandoning her when she needs me most, which, for better or worse, meant something. I reminded her that forsaking all others was also in those vows. This psycho bonds out again, and 2 days later, he spray paints whore on her car at her office parking lot. Security cameras caught everything, and he got arrested again. This time, the judge wasn't playing around. There was no bond, and he sat in jail until the trial. My wife's lawyer tries to use this whole situation to delay the divorce proceedings, arguing she's under duress, needs time to heal, and shouldn't be making major life decisions while dealing with a stalker. Her lawyer even suggested that I had a duty to protect her as her husband, that divorcing her during this time was cruel and unusual. The judge, thank God, wasn't buying any of it. He said her affair and the resulting consequences were separate from our divorce proceedings, and that she couldn't use a dangerous situation she created to delay the inevitable. The criminal trial happens first. The dude pleads down to avoid worse charges, gets 18 months for breaking and entering, criminal trespassing, violating a restraining order, and harassment. His construction company loses a bunch of contracts once word gets out, including all the ones my wife had given him. During our divorce proceedings, it was revealed that she'd been steering approximately $300,000 worth of maintenance contracts his way over the preceding 8 months. Her company launched an investigation, and she got fired for ethics violations. Now, she's crying poverty in court, saying she needs more alimony because she lost her job. Judge says that's a consequence of her own actions, not my problem. The divorce took 7 months to finalize because of all the complications. We had to sell the house in a shit market, lost about 80 grand from what we paid for it, split the savings, the investment accounts, everything right down the middle. She received half of my business value as well. I had to pay her $275,000 over a 3-year period. Her lawyer tried to argue for more, saying she'd helped build the business by supporting me, but the judge stuck with the standard 50-50. The last time I saw her was at the final divorce hearing about 4.5 years ago now. She tried to approach me outside the courthouse, started saying how sorry she was, how she never meant for any of this to happen, how the stalking situation made her realize I was the one she really loved. She actually said that watching me defend our home made her remember why she fell in love with me. I just looked at her and said, "You knew he was unstable when you tried to break it off, but you kept seeing him for 8 months before that. You made every choice that led to this." Then I walked to my car and never looked back. I found out through mutual friends that she had moved to Orlando, got a job managing apartment complexes for a big real estate investment trust, and was probably trying to start fresh where nobody knew her story. The ex-affair partner, last I heard through the legal grapevine, he's still got about 6 months left on his sentence, lost his construction business. His ex-fiancée took him for everything in their split. His ex-fiancée and I actually grabbed coffee once after everything was finalized, just to kind of close that chapter. She told me she's never been happier and said sometimes people do us favors by showing us who they really are. Smart woman. She's engaged to someone new now. Showed me a picture. Seems like a good dude. Owns a chain of restaurants. Me? Back then, I was 47, starting over. But honestly, I handled it better than I thought I would. Sold the business about 3 years after the divorce to a competitor who'd been sniffing around for years. Got a nice payout, way more than what I had to give my ex. I bought a condo on the beach in Delray, and I've been hitting the gym consistently since then. I initially lost 30 pounds, kept it off, and I'm probably in the best shape I've been in since college. Even now at 52, started dating about a year after the divorce, had a few relationships, nothing too serious at first, just getting back out there. My therapist says I handled everything pretty well, considering how insane it got. But man, some nights I still can't believe all that actually happened. The breaking and entering incident really messed with my head for a while. I kept triple checking locks, installed a comprehensive security system in the new place, and placed cameras everywhere. I even bought a gun, took classes, and obtained my concealed carry permit. It's wild how someone else's affair can literally put your safety at risk. I still have dreams sometimes about that day, finding him in my house. My ex actually sent me a letter about a year after the divorce, 4 pages of apologies and explanations, saying she was in therapy, working on herself, understanding why she made those choices. Said she grew up watching her dad cheat on her mom and swore she'd never be like him, but somehow ended up doing exactly what she hated. She begged me to meet her for coffee just to get closure. I threw it in the trash without finishing it. Some people think I should have been more sympathetic about the stalking situation, that she was a victim too. My own brother said I was being too harsh, that she didn't know the guy would go crazy. Maybe she was a victim, but she was a victim of her own choices. She knew this guy for 8 months, spent countless hours with him, and never once noticed he was unstable. Or she did notice and didn't care because the attention felt good. Either way, it's no longer my problem. The house we shared was finally sold about 4 years ago. A young couple with twins bought it, and I hope they have better luck there than we did. Funny how life works out. My advice for anyone going through a similar situation: document everything, get a good lawyer, and don't let anyone make you feel guilty for leaving a cheater, even if they end up in a dangerous situation because of their choices. Their affair partner turning out to be a psycho doesn't erase the betrayal, doesn't magically fix the trust they destroyed. And for God's sake, change your locks immediately when you separate. Don't wait for the divorce to be final. Get security cameras. Stay strapped if you have to. I was lucky that guy only wanted to talk that day. It could have been so much worse. Funny how divorce gives you all this time you didn't know you were missing. I ended up sailing to the Bahamas about 2 years ago, along with a couple of buddies from the marina. Best week of my life. No drama, no crazy exes, just ocean and beer. My ex-wife's stalker got out after serving about 14 months, and I have that permanent restraining order against him. I heard she relocated again to Georgia. I am assuming she is really trying to start over. Part of me wonders if he'll try to contact her again, but that's her problem to worry about now. She made her choice when she started that affair. Everything that came after was just consequences playing out. I've got a great woman in my life now, whom I met at the marina. She has her own boat, doesn't need my money, and doesn't need constant attention from random men to feel validated. We're taking it slow, but it's good, it's healthy, and it's nothing like what I had before. That whole situation taught me something important. When someone shows you who they really are, believe them the first time. Don't wait for them to bring chaos into your life. Don't make excuses for their behavior. Just protect yourself and get out. My ex brought danger literally to our doorstep because of her selfish choices, and then expected me to save her from it. That's not love, that's manipulation, and I'm done with both. Looking back now, 5 years later, it's wild how much can change. Sometimes the worst thing that happens to you ends up being the best thing for you. It just takes time to see it that way. Well, in my opinion, all I am going to say is that it was a dangerous situation for OP, all brought on because his wife cheated on him. People who cheat usually don't think about the consequences of their actions until they get caught or something crazy happens, like in this case. He didn't sound like a doormat or a simp to me. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time.